Okay, everybody, welcome to episode 60 of To the Rink podcast. 6-0. Can't believe we've done this many. Puffy, who's 60?
The one I remember the most, former Montreal Canadiens goaltender Jose Theodore. He had a little run there where he was one of the best in the world. Sure, Canada maybe could use him for the Four Nations Cup next February. Our goaltending's not exactly the best, but the other thing interesting about him, there's always rumors of him having mob ties. I just started watching The Sopranos. I don't know if you've ever watched Sopranos.
Yeah, I've watched it. Yeah.
So I've never seen it. I actually had a dream. I'm watching it so much. I had a dream last night that I got whacked. That I just somebody came up behind me and started choking me and it felt very real. Like I was like one of those
violently punch her.
Like I kind of jolted awake. Like it was one of those I was sort of like half. I hadn't fully gone to sleep yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it was like I felt it. It was like, oh God. But there's always those talk about him being tied to the Montreal mob, which I always found very interesting.
Huh? And he doesn't play anymore. He's an older player.
Yeah, he's probably in his early 40s, mid 40s. Okay.
And is he still in Montreal? That would answer that question.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while. Maybe he got whacked.
Investigation on that one.
Yep.
Well, we have a real special episode again. This is our first time ever having a repeat guest.
Yes.
We have Mr. Dan Crosby coming back to tell us all about BioSteel, an update on the BioSteel story, which I think is a really interesting story. You know, he had the opportunity to buy it. We heard that last time. Last time we were talking, he was just getting the business, just bought it. Yeah, just bought it. He was talking about what he was thinking of doing, what he was going to do with it, how the story happened, how he got it. That was really interesting. So if you haven't heard that episode, go back. You can hear Dan Crosby talk all about sort of this iconic Canadian brand, specifically around hockey. They had always positioned themselves and him getting it. And he's come back to talk to us about, what has it been, 7-8 months later, and the progress he's made and how they've been going and what they've been doing. And it's a good news story. It's a great Canadian business story right now. And, you know, I know it's not easy. Every day it's hard. You got, they're thinking about distribution and velocity and operations and costs of goods and shipping and, innovation strategies and launch strategies and new markets. I mean, I get it. I live that world. But they're having a moment. They're still trucking. They're doing really well. And it's great to have Dan come back on and talk to us about it, right? So with that, why don't we go straight to the interview with Mr. Dan Crosby. All right, folks, back by popular demand. We couldn't keep him away today. We got the guy who's making more moves than a Zamboni at intermission. You might remember him from his last appearance when he schooled us on staying hydrated and keeping things cool. He's back. It's Dan Crosby, the man from BioSteel, and he's here to give us the inside scoop on what is going on and what's been happening since he was here last with all the athletes and all the updates he's been doing online and really sort of leading this business into the new frontier, and you're well into it now. So welcome back, Dan. Really great to have you.
Appreciate it, guys.
It's really great to see you. And I guess right off the top, we talked to you probably about 8 months ago, I would say, or 9 months ago, somewhere in that range. And you had just gotten it. We heard a great story about how you got into it. And it was actually one of our most popular podcasts. And it was one of the podcasts that actually had a tail to it, meaning it launched. And then it kept popping up, because people would come listen to it and kept listening to it and share with friends. And when people were talking to me, like, oh, you had the guy from BioSteel or Dan from BioSteel. And
that's funny.
It was really interesting how he did it and the real estate. And so we haven't really talked since, but we got a lot of feedback on it. So
awesome.
So why don't you tell us, you've taken over, you've kind of gotten through the honeymoon phase and now what's been going on with BioSteel?
Yeah. So, we did it. We turned the business around. I mean, it was, I don't remember exactly how much I got into it last time I was on, but, we were essentially, cleaning up the mess. I mean, getting our house in order. I feel like there was a little bit of a stint there where, people thought we might have been gone. They didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
Some other brands popped up or whatever. And then, there was, a bunch of rumors about BioSteel. What's going on? Is it going to be bankrupt? Are they just selling off inventory and then they're going to go away? Or is it going to only turn into an online brand? But no, I mean, none of those are true. I bought that brand to, continue, Matt Nichols' legacy of building the best sports hydration product in the market for not only elite athletes at the NHL, MLB, NFL, MLS level there is, but also the best and healthiest hydration for active individuals and those people that need just a great product. I intended to keep it that way. But as you could expect, before getting into, the marketing and getting into, the front facing part of the business, I truly did have to restructure the actual business side of things because it was so broken. It was run like an absolute disaster. So I had to truly fix that. And it took about, we are right about at the time now where we are starting to really pick up our stride and we can really start hitting the marketing and doing what, I really like. And we're really starting to hit our stride. I mean, we're getting out there, we're getting out in the market. We're getting a lot of amazing feedback from, I just got back from the Source for Sports Niagara show.
Yeah.
And man, it was amazing. Like there's this affinity for this brand that when I bought it, I never realized what I was buying truly. And there is an absolute love for this brand that is super special. I've never witnessed this before. Yeah, I've never witnessed it. There's like this, I can't put my finger on it, but sometimes the things that you can't put your finger on and explain are the best things because those are things that you cannot replicate. And those are the intangibles that somebody can't simply copy. So it's a very special brand. I feel honored and lucky to own it. I'm very excited to take it into the, its next phase of where it needs to be and where it should be. I think that they, over the last couple of years, they truly took it in a direction that was getting away from where the brand should have been and what its origins were. And we're getting back to that. And we're really focusing. Yeah, we're really focusing on the grassroots side of things. We've got amazing partnerships with, the coaches site, OMHA, Calgary Hockey, the OUA. We're launching a new partnership for Canada West soon, U Sports. So we're doing some like really big things. Like we're, there might be some pretty big announcements coming out of Minnesota, Michigan,
really
things like that. Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, I come from the CPG world, as you know, so I like, the packaged goods and like, I know how long it takes to get something out to market, and then you bought it, and I know how long it takes for something to like build momentum and get, consumers, and those consumers get more consumers, and so on and so forth. And then, things, skyrocket. It has this incredible sort of challenging time. You end up with it, and in the time that you've now had it, which has been about, coming up to a year, roughly. I still see it. You've held on to some of those listings like Costco and Sobeys. Yeah. I've seen it out of those places, which I know is really critical for the business. Yeah. And that's not easy. And I don't know, a lot of people that are listening to this, they, I don't know, they may not work in a brand consumer packaged good world, but that stuff's hard to keep, and it's hard to like give confidence to the buyers from those places and what you're doing, the vision of where you're going. So being able to bridge that gap, and I know some of the guys on your team and what you guys have done with this brand, I think is really, really cool. On top of it, it's a super competitive category with more entrants and big players like Pepsi and Coke and Dr. Pepper and all those kinds of companies that have their own thing. So congratulations, that's good. But you touched on something, which was sort of some of these new partnerships and things that you have. So what's the next big thing for the brand, with these partnerships? What are you really excited about with some of these partnerships, or a couple that you want to talk about that you really think are core to the strategy of BioSteel? Yeah.
So there's some really big partnerships with, I really love the university strategy. I've always tried to get into the university strategy with my other brand, Canadian Protein. It never worked. And the reason why it never worked is because Canadian Protein is not NSF certified. And it's not really a sports-specific style of brand. So it never did feel right. We have a partnership with Windsor, the Windsor Lancers, which is fine. Like it's my hometown. I think that makes sense. But BioSteel is absolutely the right fit. Right down to, it's the next generation of athlete. They pay attention to the sustainable side, packaging side of things, more so than probably any other generation, before them. They're paying attention to what they put in their bodies more than anyone before them. And these guys are performing at elite levels, and they need something to, match their performance and to, even, increase their performance. And this is the right brand. So I would say the university partnerships that we're rolling out is probably what I'm most excited for. We also partnered with 2 PWHL
really
stars.
nice. Yeah.
So I really like that. There's a lot of eyes on the PWHL.
Sure.
And honestly, I love working with people that authentically use the brand, consume the brand, and they reached out to us. And that's something special as well. I don't want our partnerships to be transactional. And there's nothing better when somebody reaches out to you and says, "Hey, listen, I love this brand. It's authentic to me. It's part of my daily lifestyle. I want to include this in my, my partnership, portfolio because I already use it. Let's just make it official." That's a special thing. And that story there sells product, and moreover that, when I can hop on a podcast or I can talk to these women or these NHLers or professional athletes or whatever, and they can tell me the first time they ever tried BioSteel and which flavor they loved, when that was. It was 5 years ago. They've been using it on the benches in the NHL when there was a partnership with the NHL. That story, that authentic story of them actually using it, it's in the bench, it's in the dressing rooms before games, even though we're not partnered with the NHL. Those stories, you can't make that up.
No.
And that is so critical, I feel, into building such a strong, loyal brand following and equity in the market. That is why the brand still lives on so strong, and why, like you were mentioning, Costco, Sobeys, and all these other, big chains. That's why they kept the listings when they didn't even know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's critical to their business in a way.
Yeah.
Right?
Getting that feedback is getting that feedback from them when I took it over was like, we were hoping that we'd be able to keep the brand because the brand sells amazing in the stores and people want that brand. You're filling a void that just really doesn't even exist.
You can't go to a Costco without not seeing a BioSteel case in a pack, every few carts. And then same with hockey tournaments where everyone's in between games, tailgating out in the parking lot. There's always the team that pulls up, opens it up, has that big mixer pack of BioSteel. It's a good one.
For sure. Yeah.
So Dan, we're seeing more and more youth athletes repping BioSteel. How has the brand specifically targeted young hockey players, and what kind of response have you seen in the minor hockey community?
Yeah, so strategically focusing on minor sports organizations like OMHA, Hockey Calgary, and again the university partnerships. But one of the things that I'm actually most proud of, to be honest with you, is our sponsorship program. Our sponsorship program has it's just about to crack 1,600 teams. So we've got about 1,200 in Canada, about 400 in the US, and we have paid out at this point now over $300,000 to those teams.
Oh, good.
So so the way that it works is your team would sign up. If you go to biosteel.com or biosteel.ca, you select partnerships, you select the team sponsorship option, you enroll, you get a discount, 20% discount, and we give you a 20% kickback. And you put in your PayPal details and it gets distributed to you every single month. And after you place your first order, what that first order does is it initiates a starter pack. And of that starter pack, you get 25 bottles, you get couple towels, you get stick packs, and it kicks off your team not having to say, for example, it saves your team, almost, around $500, bottles, you know what I mean? Every team needs bottles. So, I mean, I'm really proud of that. I wanted to figure out a way to, give back to the community, help these teams kind of, I guess, fund their athletics, because it's not getting any cheaper. So I wanted to really find a way where, kids are excited to get the product that is supporting the team, right? Instead of, I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but, with my kids, every once in a while they'll come home with like a $10 10-inch pizza that's frozen that nobody wants. They taste like garbage. And my freezer's full of them, and the team only gets like a $2 kickback. The pizza guy gets $8, and I'm stuck with all these pizzas no one wants. Whereas, BioSteel, it's a great product. All the kids love it. It's safe for kids to consume. And, even, grandma can use the protein and the greens and the collagen and stuff like that. There's a lot of products for everyone. And it serves a lot of purposes for, people just to live a healthier lifestyle. So the program is really, really working. I'm actually shocked I'm actually shocked I'm actually shocked we've paid out that much. It's actually shocking. Yeah. It's wild to me,
Going back to your clean ingredients, and like you said, grandma can even enjoy it. I know BioSteel is all about clean ingredients. In fact, it's one of the sort of things I know when I talk to people about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I know it has all the cleanest stuff in it, and it's really great." But you can win over the kids with sort of the sponsorships and stuff. But have you had any tactics or any thoughts about how you start to win over the parents and how you help them get to know BioSteel a bit more, so they're thinking about it on their purchase? Is any part of the strategy involving the parents or the purchasers that way?
Yeah, you know what? One of the things that really, I guess, attracted me to this brand when it came up, and it was shockingly failing, to be honest with you, when I first found out about it, failing, is how much mom trusts this brand. And I don't know if that was on purpose. I don't know if that was on accident. No one's been able to tell me. But the fact of the matter is, the trust that this brand has among families and, Costco shoppers and Sobeys and grocery shoppers or dads, moms, you name it, the trust of this brand is shocking to me. And I've been in the space for, in the supplement game for 15 years. I've never seen a brand more trusted by, essentially mom, who controls, the food buying, spending habits in the household most of the time. It's a shocking thing that I've seen with this brand. And it's a very special thing. I don't want to disrupt that. One of the things that I really like to do is, we've got a podcast as well with BioSteel. I have a chat with our director of hockey, Eric Palazzolo. He runs our athletics in the BioSteel Sports Academy as well. And, we talk about burning issues that parents talk about and maybe don't necessarily have answers to, maybe those types of, questions go unanswered. And I feel like our relatability to that parent builds that level of trust on top of simply a trustable product. Because not only do I want people to trust the product, I want people to trust us as the owners of the brand moving forward. And, they're not only spending their hard-earned money, but, they're buying this for, their children. Like, what's more special than that, right? So, and they're youth athletes or whoever, they're putting it in their body. That's something that we have to maintain, and we have to, just really develop that special level of trust that, if it's, I want it also with us as the owners and managers of the brand moving forward. So we're building that trust. The product already has it. I want people to entrust in us as well.
So I was going to say, you do a really great job. You're like what I would call new age, like CEO entrepreneur, because, I follow you on LinkedIn, and you'll go on LinkedIn and you'll ask a question like, hey, here's 2 logos that we're thinking about. What do you guys think? Yeah. And you kind of do. It's a little unconventional in what you've done and how you've built, your business and your own, like these brands and, your protein powder now with BioSteel and, somewhat your personal brand. So one of the things that you do talk about both on your podcast, and I've seen you talk about it in this, you're very open about your health and your routines and what you do and performance. So, what advice do you give, because I think, you know, you really think about those things. I know you do cold showers and you work out and all that stuff because you're very vocal about it and you talk about it. So what advice would you give young athletes about balancing, you know, sort of their nutrition, their hydration and training, as well as, you know, for you, your career and your work and you know, but for them, maybe their schooling or university or early career? What kind of advice would you give that?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think it depends, right? I think it depends on the age. You know, I think typically once you start, you know, passing puberty, once it's really time to start dialing it in, I think leading up to that, I think what's most important, honestly, is, you know, even according to data, play a bunch of sports. You know, don't be a one-trick pony. You know, there's a lot of data that shows, you know, multi-sport athletes, once it's time to really dial it in the sport that you want to continue in, that multi-sport athlete will excel more so at that single sport than like a one-trick pony his whole life. So I think that's super important. You know, we just had Danielle from, you know, the PWHL, plays for Ottawa. She mentioned that too. She played multiple sports. All these kids played multiple sports. Crosby, all these guys, they played multiple sports, even when they were at Shattuck. You know, they were, you go to Shattuck in Minnesota, you can't just play hockey. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But it's not just a hockey thing. You have to play other sports. I don't know if they do that on purpose, but the data shows that builds, you know, athleticism, right? You know, I'll give you an example. You know, I believe it was Cassian that came out of Power Tech down here in Windsor. And I believe it was him. He played soccer growing up. And that guy would catch a pass no matter where it was, in his skates, no matter what. And it was because he had great footwork playing soccer, for example, right? So there's certain things that you pick up that if you only played hockey growing up, you know, you might not be as great as picking up dirty passes getting thrown in your skates, right? For example.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's a really, you know, important factor. Another thing that I think is really important when you really start dialing it in, and it's time to, you know, pick that one sport, that's when everything starts to really matter. I think it's extremely important to have focus, you know, block out the noise, the partying, like all that kind of stuff. It depends how bad you want it, right? If you really want it bad, let's see how bad you want it, right? If that means
the same would go for business as well, you know,
everything, no matter what it is, dial out the noise, dial in your nutrition, outwork everybody, and then that's how you'll get to where you want to go. There's no other. There's nothing else.
There's like, no secret overnight success
here. Of course, there's not, right? So it really comes down to I feel, you know, those handful of things, right? You know, how bad do you want it? Are you able to, you know, dial out or block out all the noise where, you know, your buddies are like, hey man, let's go get wasted on the weekend. And, you know, you're trying to hit the OHL draft and that's what you're doing. Like you can't, it's not going to work. It's not going to work well. You're not going to be at the top of your game. And maybe you are, and maybe that's a special circumstance, but the majority of people don't end up like that. Right. So, you know, if you want to, you know, if you really want to excel in something, it's going to take an absolute, you know, you're going to need to be a dog, and you're going to have to outwork everybody to get to where you want to go. And you're going to have to be able to say no a lot. And that's what I think is really important. And I think the younger you understand that, the better off you are as a youth athlete, as a young adult, and no matter at what stage you are in your life. I think that ends up mattering. The younger you can understand those things. I wish I understood that. I really started dialing myself in, you know, mid-20s, and I wish I would have dialed it younger. You know,
yeah,
what it is. Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah, I missed it by about 40 years. So
it's never too late, though.
Yeah, that's true. So Dan, when I think of BioSteel, I always think of Matt Nickel. Yeah. And that's as a parent, that's some of my trust comes in from his, you know, relationship or with the product over someone like a Logan Paul or with these other products. Does he have any involvement with BioSteel anymore, or is there any plans to bring him back in the fold?
I would love to bring that guy back. However, there was some things that happened that, he's not involved anymore. I have chatted with him multiple times. Great guy. I don't know him that well personally, but seems like a great guy. I can tell that he still has a soft spot for the brand. I'm hopeful at some point in the future, I will be able to, loop him back into, what we're doing here. But you are absolutely right. He is the man. He's the man behind BioSteel. I give all the credit to him. He did truly develop a brand that he developed a product that in a time when there was not sufficient products in this type of category for elite level athletes. And the product that he developed I've done a ton of research on this type of product since buying it. Prior to buying it, there is literally nothing that I would change about this product that would make sense. He developed this product. When he developed it, he was ahead of his time. And I almost feel like the reason why it took a little bit of time to adopt it is because it was ahead of his time. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised the level of saturation this product has in pro sports, because it is the best product for professional athletes. We just got, I was almost gonna say it, but right around the neck of your woods, one of the pro teams just ordered literally yesterday. So it's a routine basis. They're
Right.
routine basis.
Yeah.
You name it, the best athletes in North America, even in Europe, they all use this product. That is the one that, if I had to pick one thing that I was surprised about, besides the mess I had to clean up, if I had to pick one surprising thing about this brand, is how many pro teams in North America actually order this product and how many professional athletes use this product. That is, it's an absolute mind-blowing thing.
So speaking of sort of the transition, though, so let's go back to this, like the last 8-9 months. There's been, you took it over. You're in, like, you jump in 2 feet. You get this brand. You didn't really know what you had necessarily. You get to know it. You're getting the customers. But what was, like, can you tell everybody, like, maybe what was the single biggest challenge? Maybe you're not even done it yet, but what was the single biggest challenging moment you had in some of this, like, integration into your organization and now sort of the beginning of the turnaround?
Logistics. It was product everywhere.
For people that, for the little kids that don't know what logistics is, that is like supply chain and making sure the trucks are leaving on time and delivering on order and fulfilling the orders and getting, if the PO comes in, which is a purchase order, they want 100 cases, you have to deliver 100 cases on Friday before noon, kind of thing. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So specifically with respect to logistics, they had 12 or 14 warehouses with a ton of product scattered all over North America. And that was probably the most difficult thing to deal with, only because it was extremely costly. The inventory was bifurcated all over the place. We were getting orders from Costco. We were getting orders from, you name it, Costco, Sobeys, this, that. And we had inventory just everywhere. And it was entered wrong for the most part.
Right. So you didn't really even know what you had.
Didn't even know what we had. We had to go there physically to figure out what we had. We had to get the distribution centers to take pictures of what the product was. We were sending product that we didn't even realize like what it was because it was labeled wrong. It was, and being from CPG, you send a bunch of product that's wrong, you're getting fined like crazy.
You're getting fined, yeah. When people don't know, right. When you get an order from Loblaws or Costco, if you mess up any part of it, like it's not delivered on time, you short ship it, mislabeled, not only do you have to take it back, fix it, and all those kinds of things, it puts a mark on what your scorecard, you also get fined, just like you're getting a parking ticket.
I bet you.
Who fines you? Who fines you? The government?
Like the Loblaws, Walmart. No, the company.
Loblaws?
They got a contract to sell there. They're like, if you don't deliver on our terms, you'll get fines. Yeah,
I would argue that those guys don't even make money selling product. They make money on fining everybody.
You're probably right.
It's unbelievable. Like the fines are crazy. Like if you're not dialed in with that, and then not only so as an example, We took over everything. We barely had any visibility into what we actually had in stock. We just knew the number of pallet spaces because we were paying for it, right? And then lo and behold, what happens? Our NetSuite account gets shut down. So I'm like, I don't even know how to manage this.
Right.
And you shut off our NetSuite account when you weren't supposed to. So that was probably, and we're just starting to, we just got it fixed because, again, you're CPG expert. How long does it take for those integrations for you know what I mean? For Oracle, NetSuite, for those guys to integrate, it's like a 6 to 12-month process.
Yeah.
So
and usually 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 in many of those situations. It's just sort of
that has been by far the biggest headache. If BioSteel did that right, their logistics and their warehousing and things like that, this probably would have been a cakewalk.
Well, I think for people that may not know too, like those companies and organizations just in general that have their operations or their logistics or their whatever you want to call it dialed in, that's how they become multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
built on the back of those kinds of things. And then when you can do those things right, you're able to really build a great brand because that brand is always available. It always delivers on the quality of the product because it's always made the same way. It's always there when you want it. And then now you have the asset of the brand, which really drives the value. But the operations, I can't tell you how important that is and how many companies I see and know that have faulty operations, which really then becomes their Achilles heel and knocks them down, on
that is
not being what they should be.
That's amazing advice, man. I really appreciate that. Actually, that's some really good insight. I've never actually heard someone say that to me, but what I've gone through, I could absolutely see how you are so right. It's crazy. Yeah. You're absolutely dead on. Absolutely dead on.
Good job, GCAT.
I will say this too. One of the most interesting things too about this brand is the stronghold Coke and Pepsi have in the U.S. It's unbelievable. That is a shocking, even in Canada, in gas and convenience especially.
Yeah.
Like I can see how they could take a mediocre brand, put it on their trucks, and then boom, multi-billion-dollar brand.
And they own the distribution, so the whole game's trying to get on their trucks. Like you make deals with them in the U.S., like, Coke's our distributor, and then that's all of a sudden like a cash cow, But you're paying Coke a lot of money for them to put on their trucks and deliver it for you.
Yeah, and I can see why Coke would I can see how they can do these smaller acquisitions on for a tenth of what the brand ends up being worth as soon as they just distribute it themselves.
Yeah,
totally see it. Yeah. That's an interesting. I can see how Coke has. I can see how Coke and Pepsi own so many brands because it's so easy for them to just make $1 billion right off the hop.
To support the customer, so the Couche-Tards of the world, or which is Circle K, they get their category management done by the Pepsi and Coke. They get their a whole bunch of stuff on top of their Coke being delivered or whatever their pop being delivered, and they get all that. So, good for you.
Business corner going on here. You guys are starting to geek out on your business.
For 50 episodes here. We just talked a little bit about CPG here, but
I'm just I like stuff.
No, it's been an interesting ride, man. No, it's
well, that's great
for sure.
Well, it's really great to have you back on, and it's really great to hear. The last 8-9 months has been a ride, but really kind of turning things around. And, now you're kind of on the path to, the first phase of the integration is really sort of what do I have and how do I stabilize it? Now you can sort of how do we amplify it, right? How you drop it into 6th gear and just run for the next little while and see where you can take it. And you're in the States again, which I didn't actually realize. I thought you were only going to be in Canada for the beginning. So it's great to hear that you're in America too, which is a tough market.
Yeah, no, we're just starting to break into the States, back into retail. We do have, a significant Amazon and online business in the States and presence, but we're just starting to break into the US. We wanted to really stabilize Canada first and then try our luck back at the States. But we stabilized the business side. We're really starting to turn on the marketing. We're getting really back involved with hockey and the associations, and I believe, late November, December, we're going to have our one facility. I have 2 facilities down here in Windsor. We're going to have my one facility NSF certified. BioSteel is going to be made down in Windsor now. And, yeah, we're really excited about that. And we're going to be bringing
the powder.
The powder side.
And then the drinks you make in Windsor or elsewhere?
No, up in Aurora, actually.
Aurora. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're going to be doing that still. The goal is to eventually bring everything in house, but it's going to be. I'm a manufacturer by trade. We make product down here in Windsor. That's what I've been doing for 15 years. So I know that side of the business. That was always the goal with with BioSteel. So. Which is one of the reasons why I did buy the brand, is to, control the manufacturing, which makes us extremely competitive in this space, right? It separates us from the competition because nobody makes their own product in this space. Nobody.
No, right. Everything is, sent out to asset light model for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, it just allows us to even, get creative with even the pro teams, right? Like the pro teams have very specific asks, and that's something that, speaking with a lot of the NHL dietitians and the MLB dietitians and those types of, people, they have very specific asks that with us being able to manufacture in our own NSF certified facility, we can actually make bespoke products. Like, for example, if, Margaret Hughes of the Leafs, who's their registered dietitian, if she wants a specific product for her athletes and the Maple Leafs, we can make it for them. Whereas before, that would never have been a thing.
Right. Yeah. You have that capability now, which is great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Customizing it for those kind of unique things. That's great.
Absolutely. We're doing one right now with, we're piloting one for the MLB. So
for the whole league. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like an ask, whether the whole league uses it or not, who knows? But we're piloting something for that's been a long time ask that they've always wanted. So it's a really cool opportunity. Yeah.
So in a situation like that, so say a player, to say Austin Matthews, for instance, wanted his BioSteel a certain way. Could you make it a certain way for him and then mass produce it and say, kids, this is exactly what Austin Matthews is drinking? Well,
if he gets his head straight and drops Prime, I could.
He is a Prime guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Prime guy. So we can do a lot of things like that. We could do a lot of pilot runs. The only thing that there's a couple things. So with NSF certification, the testing is fairly expensive. So if we make, say, for example, one container for Austin Matthews, it'll probably cost around $4,000. Because the testing for that one run and that one product would cost a significant amount of money, right? So it would have to be a situation where, we could make this product. It would probably be a little bit more of a bespoke situation for, maybe say the Leafs and then maybe another team, or maybe just for the Leafs. But, maybe it's a couple hundred units and then we spread that testing cost across the board. But, adding another $10 to a product, whoever that is across, 30 guys, 20 guys, whatever, is not it's a lot more economical than, one product, right? If one guy wants one product. So, but
and that's where your in-house manufacturing really comes in handy because, there is a cost whether you're making one, I used to say there's always there's a whole bunch of costs to make one widget or 10,000 widgets, but once you kind of make it and you have all those costs spread out and you make more of it, that really helps with the cost.
Exactly. Yeah. But there is a couple things that there's a couple dietitians would like to see tweaked a little bit. As an example, I'll give you guys an example. As you could imagine, these high performance athletes, when Matt Nickel did develop the brand, there was a lot of athletes that did not feel good from the sugar in other products that these athletes were using. So he developed a no sugar product, right? Some dietitians and some athletes want sugar in their product, and that's fine. I'm not saying that there's no use case for a sugared product. The majority of people, I would say, and especially kids, they are already consuming so many carbs throughout the day. They don't necessarily need extra sugar or extra carbs in their diet. But a professional athlete that is literally on the ice probably 4 to 6 hours a day training that's their job, they might need that extra, carbohydrate intake. So that's something that is an example of, hey, we'd love to see a carb product as well that, for example, might not actually hit, the BioSteel mass market, because BioSteel is known for being a sugar-free product, and I intend to keep it that way. But for example, if you have professional athletes that require at the elite level that type of product, we can make it for them now when their dietitians require it.
Okay. Right on. Cool. Yeah. So it sounds like not only a lot going on, not only sort of getting over sort of the integration, but lots of excitement for the future with things like your program for youth, some of the customization. It sounds like what you're really talking about, I think, is a whole bunch of innovation that I'm sure we're going to see over the coming years, and, like different flavors, different styles, different, mixtures of the proteins and things like that. So
absolutely.
So Dan, really appreciate you coming back on. You're our first double guest, by the way.
Yes.
We've never had a double guest.
I appreciate that.
Which awesome, great.
Man.
And we're really excited to see it. We love BioSteel, so it's really great to have a straight line to the president. That's for sure. We like that. I appreciate that, as well. Man. But if you remember last time, we had one last question for you, which was, if there's one song that you had a pump up song, and I believe you used a corn song last time. So now that you've lived through a year of integration of this big company, is there a song that's maybe helped you out this last couple of months, this last 8-9 months, that you is thinking the song of the now for Dan?
Oh man. Metallica, Enter Sandman.
There you go. Classic.
Nice. You know what? I saw a clip on Instagram, and I don't remember the football team that did it.
Yeah, Puffy. It's Virginia, I think, right? Puffy?
Yes.
Virginia Tech.
Have you seen that walkout?
Oh, yeah. It's so cool.
Oh, my God, is that unreal. Nasty. Everybody's jumping in the stands. I just got chills saying it. Yeah. I actually just got chills even thinking about it.
Yeah.
You want to pump up? I'm telling you, my kid, his baseball.
Yeah,
it's that. We might have to speed it up in the middle, in the beginning a little bit, but I'm trying to convince him of that song. He's a little too young to realize what the importance of that and the historical relevance of that song back to probably our age, but he'll get it whenever he'll get it when everybody gets all fired up.
I remember buying that album. I bought that album. I still remember I bought it in Ottawa, Ontario, visiting some friends back when it came out. Anyway, that's how good of an album that is.
Man. Yeah,
with that, Dan, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. All the best of luck over the next year again, and hopefully we'll have you back every season to talk a little bit about BioSteel and where the journey is. And we're rooting for you. And thanks for coming on.
Awesome, thanks, guys. Dan. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
That was terrific. I have to say there are parts of that interview where I sort of felt like I was intruding on the two of you in a spirited business discussion.
Right.
But it was actually pretty cool just to listen to both of you, to experienced people in this kind of world, talk a little bit nuts and bolts stuff on it. I was enjoying it just as a outsider. So,
well, you know how I feel now with most of our interviews with you and them, right? Talking about hockey and sports and old hockey players and moves. And I'm like, I'm just a guest. I'm a guest on your show. Yeah.
But that was good. It was good.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's great. I'm rooting for Dan. I'm a big fan of Dan. He's got, I like how he does his business. I like, I don't know if anyone ever follows him on LinkedIn. If anyone's a LinkedIn, but he goes on there and he'll just throw up a bunch of logos and you're like, what do you guys think? He'll just he's pretty transparent about how he operates in the business, which is kind of, it's new, right? Like we don't, people didn't do that in the past because we didn't have those platforms. But now, you have all these different types of leaders, and he's a type of leader that kind of goes on there and will share something and not afraid to talk about it or spend some time there to engage. And I actually think it's really good because it's part of the marketing. It becomes part of the marketing strategy. So not only is it him an outlet to get feedback and kind of be himself, I feel like I think for the most part, it works for his brand, because he now becomes tied to that brand. And if people are engaging with him, they recognize the brand, and it's good. And nice guy, sincere guy. And I'm rooting for Dan.
And BioSteel is such a great brand. Like it's one of those ones where you really do like, there's certain brands that it's just like, that's a quality product. That's something I would be,
tastes good.
It tastes good. And it's something that's easy to believe in.
Yeah, I'm down with it. So anyway, that being said, I also like some of his competitors, if I'm being honest, but that's okay. People have a circle of brands. That's how it works. You have a circle of brands. You're allowed to float
We like
around
more than one beer.
I do like that, though, I do have my favorites. But anyway, Dan, thanks again for coming on. For those that are interested in BioSteel product, you can buy BioSteel, biosteel.com. You can use To The Rink podcast, To The Rink as the promo code. You get a discount on that when you order BioSteel, so feel free to do that. And other than that, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it. Share. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. And please send us notes or DMs if you have any ideas for shows or guest ideas. Other than that, have a great week in the G. Stoff, thanks again for doing this, and we'll talk to everybody soon.